So hello and welcome back to our character design unit. In this video, we are going to be talking about shading. Finally, this is where it's going to start to look three-dimensional. In our last video, we went ahead and laid in all of our flat areas of color. Make sure each one of those is on its own layer, or you can have all of it together on one layer, just not on the layer with the outlines here, okay? You should also have a separate layer for your background. You saw me play around with a few colors. After that video, I experimented a little bit and I decided and landed on this purple. I hope you like it. All right, so we are going to be adding shading, like I said, and I'm going to show you two different ways. One way we talked about in our last lesson with our portrait by adding in the technical pen, highlight or shadow, and then using the smudge pen. That way you already know if you want to use that, you can. But today I'm going to show you a new tool, and it's going to be a little bit of a game changer. This one is called the Flow Airbrush. Okay, and it's kind of like spray paint. So if I have this here, let me grab like a bright blue color. Make sure your opacity is all the way up to check out your size. If I just, let's see, put it right here. Do you see how it's going to be like really soft, right? And if I do it multiple times, it can get darker and darker and darker. We're going to use that tool. Well, you can use the, any other tool you want and the smudge pen, that's fine. I'm going to go with the Flow Airbrush to make my shading sort of soft, and so I don't have to blend, which is really fun. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is actually called locking your layers. So I'm going to add my shading on my character itself, which is like the pot, right? So I'm going to click on the pot here, and I want to add shading. Well, I need to choose my light source first. Let's talk about that. So all shading is a highlight on one side and a shadow on the other. So if I think of my light source, the sun or a lamp over here shining down on my character, I'm going to envision the highlight to be over here on the pot, and then the shadow over here, and there might be like a shadow overhang on that like lip that's sort of bigger. Depending on what your character is doing or wearing or the forms and shapes, you should look at some references if you need to. That's honestly my advice to you. But for me, this is this basic cylinder. Again, I'm going to add highlight and shadow. Now, we are going to think about color also. We can use that color picker. I'm going to grab that hot pink that I was using before. I'm on that correct layer. And to add my highlight, I'm going to take this. I can open this up and bring that color straight up to make it sort of like, lighter. Or the trick I showed you last time is to take this, click and hold it, and either drag it down to make it darker or up to make it brighter. So I'm going to make that color brighter. And then over here with my airbrush, I'm going to add that highlight on the side of the pot. All right, so if I turn off my line work, do you see it? It's easier to see, it looks crazy, but it's easier to see with that off. Do you see that highlight there? How cool is that, right? This all looks crazy when you turn that off. I'm gonna do the same thing, maybe along the rim of the pot here, maybe a little bit of light is happening back there, that sort of thing, maybe the top of the lip, maybe I'll make little cheeks, that sort of thing. All right, and we're going to repeat this same process, but taking that color and dragging it down to be darker and adding in a shadow on this side. Now again, if I turn this off, you can see that shadow probably a little bit better. But here's the thing. Do you see, let me turn off my background. Do you see how this is bleeding out here? So if I come over here and I color here, do you see how my airbrush is getting on my background? The way to fix that would be to come in with my eraser and clean that up after, right? But isn't that going to be so annoying to have to do? Or what if it spills out? What if I'm airbrushing this pot and it goes onto my leaves, like right here? It did it right there, right? Isn't that annoying? Well, there's a really cool way to fix that. I'm gonna go back all the way, get rid of that shading. Here is the way to fix that one. let me turn that off so you can see it. If I come over here to my layer and I click on this little padlock, do you see it? There's an eyeball, and then below it is a padlock. That's gonna lock my layer. And when that layer is locked, let me grab the technical pen so I can show you this better. We'll grab black. Now we'll do like bright red. If mine is unlocked, I could draw on that layer over everything. If I lock it and I try that same thing again, it's only gonna draw on the layer that it is, which is just that pot. So now I can only affect that area and nothing else. Now that can be scary sometimes because sometimes we click on that, we don't realize it. I'm gonna go back because that's scary too. If I unlock that, is this locked or unlocked? Unlocked, so it's hard to see, it's such a small thing. I'm gonna lock right now. I'm gonna lock that layer. I'm gonna click on this one. I'm gonna lock my dirt layer. I'm gonna click on my leaves and lock that up. That way, I don't accidentally draw in the background. How cool, right? So lock those layers. Okay, just don't be surprised when you can only draw on that one thing. Test it out if you wanted to. Oops, test that out, right? And then choose your colors and start to airbrush. All right, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm on that pot. I have my airbrush here. I'm gonna take that color. Let's do shadows first. I'm gonna make it darker. And now when I come over here and I go to airbrush, it's only, no matter if I put it over here, it's never gonna paint over there. It's only gonna paint on that pot itself. Do you see how it's darker in that corner? How cool is that, right? So I'm gonna put some there. I'm gonna put some over here, not too much. And maybe I'll make this a little bit smaller. Pay attention to your size. If you go really small, it's gonna be like liney, right? So if you want it to be sort of more subtle, you can make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go right, make that a little bigger. Go right underneath here. Maybe right under our eyes a little bit. I don't know, plan. Maybe over here. Oops. And there. All right, now I'm gonna grab, maybe I'll do a little bit under the mouth. And maybe at the foot, yeah. I don't know, try it out. If I turn off my line work, you can see it a little bit better, right? Now I'm gonna take that same color and I'm gonna bring it all the way up here, make it nice and bright, and repeat that process, but on the opposite side. So I did it over here. Now I'm gonna do this over there. And you know what? I'm gonna go back because I wanna make that bigger. Here. Here. Let's do the top like I talked about earlier, right up top, and maybe back there a little reflected light. Now I want to make those cute little cheeks. They were in my, let me turn this off. I'll bring it. No, they were in my sketch. I had like little cheeks. I'm gonna use my airbrush, be a little bit brighter, and I'll just do, oops. Make sure you're on the right layer. A little cheek there, a little cheek there. Oh, so cute. All right, and then doesn't that look more three-dimensional than it did before? If I turn off my line work, you can see, it looks so crazy like that. Looks so messy, doesn't it? But you can see that little bit of shading. All right, so I'm gonna repeat that process everywhere. So I'm gonna do that now on, maybe I'll do the dirt. Now I'll do the green. So my leaves, I'm gonna grab this, I'll do the leaves first, grab this color, I'm gonna make it brighter. And my light source is over here, so I'm gonna add, making sure my layer is locked, I'm gonna add this, oh, that's way too skinny. It's like it's scratchy, doesn't it? So I'm gonna add in this whole section over here, just a little bit brighter, just that leaf. So if I turn off this, you see how now that side is just a little bit lighter. Why not? I'm making it up, right? Have some fun. A little bit lighter over here. If I wanted it even lighter, I could hit it again. Or maybe I want to change my direction. And my symmetry tool has been off, so now I have to do, and that's good, because I did this leaf over here. If I did it with symmetry, it would do that leaf over there, and my light is probably going to hit this side of the leaf, right? Because it's closer to the light. So, you know, be mindful of your symmetry tool. Take it off if you want it. If you want to do it all at once, that's fine. I just happen to have mine off for this. All right, I'm going to take that and I'm going to darken it up now. And now maybe with this one, I will make it smaller and add some texture. Maybe that's too small. Add some texture to my leaves. All right, so here you can see my final piece. You can see the shading that's there. If I turn off my line work, you can really start to see some of the shading that I did, the highlight and the shadows here. Look at that on the stem. And then you can also see, let me turn that back on, freaks me out like that. You can see I added all the way here on my background layer. I added a little bit of shadow underneath. Now think about little details that you want to add when you're totally done. Again, you know what to do. You're going to take a screenshot. Just make sure, of course, I can see all of your layers. Make sure that your sketch is turned off, that your background's all the way in the back. I am going to be looking for shading on all of your layers for your color. All right, so there shouldn't be any areas that are just flat color. It can be subtle. I will be able to see it, so just make sure that you do so. All right, so I really can't wait to see your characters. I hope you enjoyed this process. I really enjoyed creating this piece here. Go ahead and take a screenshot and submit, and don't forget to save your work, right? So if you go ahead and click share here, you can do save image, and that will save it to your camera roll. All right, so go ahead and submit, and I will see you next time.